I used to spend every waking minute thinking about day trading, trying to figure out what I should do, what strategy I should follow, what day trading course should I buy, what movie should I watch, what book should I read. I spent more time trying to figure out how to day trade than actually learning to day trade. And that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. We're gonna talk about this very simple idea that sometimes there's just too much. There's too much information out there. But at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do is really just day trade. We're gonna talk about the little light bulb that went off in my head recently. I think it really changed my day trading for the better. Stay tuned, I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about it. I think one of the biggest issues that I had in the past was really I just was trying to always figure out what was my strategy. Who should I be following? What kind of trades should I be making? Am I doing the right percentages? Am I risking the right percentages to make the right percentages? Am I doing everything by the book? What I learned is that the book is worthless. At the end of the day, you can study, you can take all the time in the world to learn to day trade, but if you don't actually day trade, it doesn't mean anything. There's a million different ways to make money in the market, and the last thing that you should be doing is trying to figure out only one way to make money. I think it's good to have focus, but the last thing you want to do is to find a strategy. Let's say you watch a YouTube video and you see a strategy and that's like, oh, this is my groundbreaking strategy. And now I'm gonna only focus on this strategy. That strategy might work for the person on YouTube, but that does not mean it's going to work for you. Every single day trader is gonna have little things about them, little quirks, little things that's going to make it hard to trade exactly like somebody else. That was one of my big issues. I really just was always trying to figure out what was my strategy, and I wasn't actually focused on trading. The best thing to do is just to focus on the overall idea, this simple principle of day trading. How do stocks move? What's the overall idea? Stocks move in waves. But the big issue is if all you do is spend time trying to figure out the perfect strategy, or you're only taking trades based on specific percentages. I see people in the comments all the time, they're like, oh, you should only do this, you should only do that, you should only trade with this percentage, you should only do this entry. At the end of the day, if it's working for you, do it. If you can make money trading in an unorthodox way, do it. There's no wrong, there's no right. As long as you're making money, that's all it's about. Stop buying into this idea that there's one strategy that fits all, that you should trade with this spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that you bought online. You have this magical spreadsheet that's going to tell you the exact percentages you should be buying and selling. Stop it. Just cut it off right now. Cut it off right now. Stop doing it. Because at the end of the day, what you should be doing is just focusing on the trades, focusing on just the overall idea of day trading. It's simple. Stocks move in waves. If you're short, if you're long, no matter what you are, the wave principle really works for anybody. Either you're short or you're long. It doesn't matter. It's simple. You're shorting at the top of the wave, you're buying at the bottom of the wave. One of the best things you can do as you're learning to day trade is to learn all of the different strategies. That way you can also play into them. Like the other day, I saw a stock and I was like, hey, if this stock breaks above pre-market high, it's gonna get FOMO, it's gonna get chased, and there's gonna be some action. And guess what? The stock broke above pre-market high and it went to the moon. Because we know a lot of people trade off this idea of buying pre-market high breaks. So as soon as that pre-market high breaks, it's a floodgate of people chasing and people FOMOing into the move. That's why we get these big squeezes right there out of the open. And the longer that you day trade, the more you're going to see these patterns. You're going to see these different strategies that people have. There's thousands of strategies, but really there's about 10 strategies that kind of cover the bases that are going to give you an idea just of the general direction of these stocks, and also that human interaction. Because remember, at the end of the day, there's a winner and there's a loser. Understand how stocks move. Understand your broker. Have everything set up and then start trading. Small size, just learning, buying the dips, selling the rips, or buying the breakouts. Whatever your strategy is, having that strategy and just kind of going through it and really focusing on your execution. But the last thing that you want to do is get stuck with only one strategy or only one idea. Only trading that one idea. Because I know, trust me, there's going to be 100 comments down below. There's going to be 100 comments from people saying, he's an idiot. You should only have one strategy. You should only trade this way. Don't trade like him. But this video really, I want to remind you guys that it doesn't matter how you make money. It's just the important thing is making money, right? If you do it totally different than how I do it, I'm not going to hate you for it. I'm not going to tell you you're doing it wrong. I have a way that I trade. Doesn't mean everybody else is going to be able to trade just like that. But the overall idea, just the basics of stocks, how they move, stuff like that, you know, buying the dips, buying those support areas, that's pretty much the underlying idea across the board. So you need to really just kind of break down the basics of day trading, learning how to read the charts, learning how to see those patterns. And then also, once you see these patterns, now you're like, hey, I know what's going to happen here, because you can see what's happening. You can see the move before the move. Once you start seeing those moves before the moves, that's how you get to the point where you're confident in taking position. You know, how do you get over that fear of entering a trade? It really just comes down to getting to the point where you're like, hey, this is the setup. I see a setup here. I can see what's going to happen. I can see the idea this is going to break to the upside here. It's squeezing. It's got the support. It's got a low flow. Everything's lining up. All those variables are lining up, and I'm able to take the trade with confidence. A lot of people believe that day trading is gambling, that what we do is basically just gambling. And, you know, I'll give them a little bit. There's definitely an aspect of gambling. What we're doing is we're betting on the idea that these setups that we've seen over and over repeating themselves. So many times do we see a stock, we're like, wow, I've seen this before. I know what's going to happen. And what happens? The stock does exactly what we thought it would. Does that mean that we bought at the right time or we sold at the right time? No. You're never going to be able to buy right at the bottom and sell right at the top, unless, you know, maybe I do it sometimes. Sometimes I get lucky. But really, it just comes down to that repetition, having that repetition, trading over and over and over to the point where you're basically just seeing these patterns happening and happening and happening. And that's why I focus on these low float stocks, because these patterns are very predictable in these low float stocks, in the sense that I can see, okay, this stock is definitely going to squeeze. It's making moves higher. And you can watch me in the live streams. There's so many times in the live streams that before the move happens, I talk about what I think is going to happen, and it ends up happening. And that's not to say that I can see the future, but these low float stocks are very kind of similar in the way that they move. If you can see the volume, you can see what's going on with the chart, you can normally see where it's going to go. Gaining that knowledge, learning more about day trading every single day. That's what I'm working on. Every single day I learn something new. I'm seeing a new pattern, and I'm just trying to embed that in my brain, where in the future I'm going to see the same exact pattern and I'm going to know. Time to make some money. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for patterns, we're looking for opportunities, we're looking for setups over and over. Setups, setups, setups. And the more time you spend day trading, the easier it's going to get, because you're going to be able to see these same patterns over and over. And a lot of people won't get to that point. A lot of people will start day trading and they'll lose money right off the bat, and they'll walk away and they won't have time to learn. So when you first start out, just start small. Learn day trading. Learn about day trading. Day trading is the one job or the one thing in the world where you go to work from 9 to 5, you do everything right. You do everything you're supposed to do, and you still lose money. We're day trading. We're not just profiting. If it was just profiting, it would just be called profiting. It would just be consistent money all the time. We're obviously looking for more chances to win than lose, and we're looking for those patterns to repeat themselves over and over to the point where we're just constantly seeing those patterns. And I'm really not focused on what's the best strategy. I'm not focused on, I can only trade this strategy, I can only trade with this percentage, I can only do this risk reward. Forget all about it. Well, don't forget about it, but just focus on doing you. Focus on what works best for you. Focus on setups that you can see, that you see these setups and you're like, wow, I can identify this setup. Don't worry so much about following a certain strategy or only doing a certain thing at a certain time, and focus on day trading, just the basics. No matter what your strategy is, if you follow that simple principle of how stocks move, you're going to make money. But the problem is trying to figure out, when to buy, when to sell, and then kind of figuring out what stocks are hot. And that just comes with time. You're going to learn. When I first started trading, I was all over the place. I had no idea what I was doing. I still don't have any idea what I'm doing, but I get lucky. I get lucky sometimes, and I've been doing this long enough now where I can see these patterns. People were like, I don't know why you traded that. I don't know why you did this, but they don't see what I see. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to see what you see. And that's really, you just got to train your brain to figure out these patterns and see these setups. And think about the overall human interaction. How is this stock going to react at a certain resistance? What's the news? What's the volume? How is this stock moving right now? Is it going to the moon? Is it just going crazy? You got to be able to identify these things and understand how it's going to react, different levels, different resistance. How overextended is the stock? Asking these questions. And that's really what I've been doing. I just stopped caring about, is this the perfect strategy? Is this the perfect entry? And now I'm just focused on making money, being confident in myself, knowing that I've spent the time, I put in the work, I put in the effort. Now I can have that confidence, and that confidence is leading me to make more money day trade. And you can see in my videos, I normally only take maybe 1, maybe 2 trades a day, compared to a lot of other traders out there who are taking 10, 20, 30 trades. And trust me, I used to take 10, 20 trades a day. I used to sit there from 9 to 5. I used to trade all day long trying to make money, and I couldn't figure out why I wasn't making money. And now I spend probably 1, 2, maybe 3 hours tops on the computer trading, and then I make my money and I walk away. That's what works best for me. Is it gonna work best for you? Maybe not. But you gotta figure it out, and you gotta get that experience, you gotta get that time, you gotta put the effort in. If you're not putting the effort in, no one's gonna do it for you. You gotta spend the time, you gotta sit there, you gotta trade, you gotta see these stocks, you gotta see how they move, you gotta see how they react. How are they reacting? What's the moving? What's the volume? What's going on? There's so many things happening. And you gotta be able to absorb all that in. Absorb it. Absorb it. And stop focusing so much on the strategy itself. If you're making money, screw them. Make money. Let's do it. If you guys haven't already, do me one big favor. Well, hit that subscribe button. Talk to you guys later on.